This is what we call the operator hiring blueprint. And this is the exact same process that we follow internally here at hiringpros.com to help owner operators hire their right fit operators. Look, too many business owners approach hiring as if they're going to the roulette table and just hoping it lands on black. So we created this tool totally for free for you. So I'm going to walk you through it real quick, see if it's valuable and helpful for you. So first, you need to understand the real problem here. What's the cost of a bad hire? It's really not as cheap as you think, especially if you're hiring for a key role, especially in a leadership position like an operator, COO, integrator type role. First and foremost, the numbers don't lie. 75% of people get it wrong when hiring. It's a mess, it's expensive. We here at Hiring Pros have nearly a 90% success rate when following this process. The reality is it takes a ton of time, as you'll see as you go through this. So most people don't end up doing that, which is why they go through this, get the hiring wrong. But anyways, this is the process. At the minimum cost, the Department of Labor reports that your average cost of failure is about 30 to 40% of the first year annual salary of the person. That's just like the hard cost that goes to your business. When you're looking at a leadership role and the opportunity cost that goes with potentially losing team members or customers or all those things, plus the stress on you as a business owner, we find this to be closer to 150, 200,000, 300,000. And when we'll get into it in a little bit here, but the real like ROI of having the right person is probably closer to a million, 5 million, $10 million decision. So just make sure you're really operating with, this is not just I'm filling a role. I'm actually making $1 million investment, $5 million hire for my business. So anyways, as we go through here, you'll see that we have an exact 5-step process. You can totally follow it on your own and go through it. So step 1, and this is really important. Almost nobody does this because they think up in the clouds in my mind is sufficient. It's not, okay? Step 1 is to get clear on your exact ideal avatar, okay? We call this the foundation. It lays the exact groundwork for everything from here on out. So if you're not gonna do this part, don't even read the rest of the blueprint because it's going to be useless for you. You have to do this step. Okay. So to put it simply, you need to write down all the main characteristics you need to see in these 4 main categories we have down here. Okay. Is first, what are the technical skills required? Is that they need to be able to read and analyze a P&L? Do they need to be able to forecast? Do they need to have marketing skills? They need to have a proven leadership ability to build and hire and hold teams accountable. What are the technical skills required? If it's a little bit more nitty gritty on like an accountant side or a doctor or a dentist or any of those things, what are the skills required? Second is the culture and values. Not enough people do this. Most people make hiring decisions purely off of technical skills and experience. It's not enough, okay? Because even if you have the most technically savvy person and they're in a key leadership role and they're not a culture fit, you'll destroy your organization before you even got started, okay? So you need to make sure you have a culture and values. What are the characteristics? What are our core values as a business? And how do we know if somebody's really embodying those? In other words, what are the key behaviors that we do, whether someone's there or not in the business? Okay. Number 3 is what's the personality traits that this person is going to need to be able to succeed? Are they going to need to be optimistic? Do they need to be realistic? Do they need to be a direct communicator? Do they need to be fast paced? Do they need to be slower paced? Do they need more perfectionist? What is that? Okay. And then step 4 is do their personal goals and their levels of commitment align with what the business and the opportunity can offer them? If they're not in alignment, you're making a short-term hire at that point. Maybe these personal goals can be in alignment for 6 months to a year, 2 years, and that might be okay. But what do you really need from this person? So those are the 4 main elements. Write all those different characteristics down and actually define them, assign weight to them, because as you begin with the end in mind, you're going to get a lot clearer of exactly who you need to go through and find and how the rest of this process is going to work, okay? So like I said, you go through the technical skills, the culture values, the personality, all that stuff. You can go through this in a lot more detail. Step 2 is to build a magnetic job ad. Too many people are just going to go to ChatGPT, have me write a job, and it'll be okay. Like it's going to do an okay job. But we found that when you're writing a job ad, you need to approach it as if you're writing marketing material or you're a copywriter trying to attract customers. You need to use the verbiage that will resonate with your ideal avatar. Is this a growth minded company or is this a stable company? Is this someone that like a fast paced environment or is it consistent? You need to use that sort of verbiage in order to really attract the type of person you want for this role. Okay. So that why you'll love it is wildly underrated when it comes to attracting top talent, especially through like your job ad. Okay. As we go through, you're going to be able to start to see you're going to write in your job ad, who's a fit, not a fit, the core values, what they'll do, the compensation and benefits, and then why this job stands out. Get a little bit more specific about your specific organization, the culture, the values, stuff like that, who we're looking for, call to action, and a quality check. Always, 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 if you're a good business owner, you should always go through this and make sure that it checks all the boxes and it's actually gonna do a good job. We don't want to just throw something together with duct tape and hope it works. It might be fine to get something quickly done, but you can do both quickly and quality if you're intentional enough about it. Okay. Once you have a job ad up, you're going to want to post it everywhere. There's tons of tools out there that can help you post across tons of different job sites. Some are more expensive than others. We personally, when we're recruiting, we're posting across thousands of sites, and we use some great tools that are really, really expensive to find the best candidates for the best price. But if you're not gonna have the time and resources to do that, you need to at least get it up on all the different job boards that you are aware of. And then if you can find specific groups, there's often like online groups and communities where these people are hanging out. You need to go there, do that. Obviously reach out to your network, post on social media, all the stuff. So then we're gonna go into strategic sourcing and outreach. You need to have a job ad up, bar none, like you've got to do it, okay? But then you need to start finding leads on your own. As a business owner, one of your top things needs to be, especially as you go from 1 million to 5 million to 10 million, is you need to be a collector of humans, of real talent. Talent acquisition needs to become a top priority. And if you're not great at it, you can find someone that's going to be great at it, but you're going to be the best in the world at selling your vision. Okay. So how do you start to build an inbound list and build the bench, if you will, is you get even more specific about where these people are hanging out, who you know. One of my favorite questions to ask my A players on my team is, who were the best people you've worked with in your past organizations? That starts to become a list of potentially people you could go after and start inviting to become a part of your organization. Don't just wait around for people to show up and knock on the door. If you're lucky, that happens, but get a lot more aggressive about it. The best people aren't always looking for a job, actively searching. So you're going to want to plant seeds in those that you hope are going to be great fits, but maybe aren't quite actively looking right now. So I found social media, especially if you have any sort of following, is really helpful to call out these people, have your network spread it. LinkedIn's great, all that stuff. Okay. Step 4. Now that we've gone steps 1 was identify your ideal avatar. Step 2 is building a magnetic job board or job ad. Number 3 is start to be a more strategic recruiting. And then step 4 is the proven vetting and interview process. Look, I'm going to just pause really quick. If this seems overwhelming so far, it's because it is. I mean, let's be honest. My team and we've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars learning how to do this, and it's still hard. Okay, we're still always learning. And so if it seems overwhelming, like I get it. It doesn't happen by accident in order to get the best results in the industry. So step 4 is the proven vetting and interview process. Too many people just go into an interview hoping it's going to work out, but they don't plan ahead of time. You need to have an intentional vetting process that's going to help you understand if your candidates actually check the boxes of your ideal avatar. For us, it's going to be something like this, depending on the position that we're vetting for, but you're going to have obviously resume screening, run them to an intro call or a video interview, career survey, a first interview, a behavioral assessment. We like DISC, second interview, reference checks, background, and if they need some sort of professional licensing. Then we put all that together and we score and grade the candidate in what we call a candidate fit report. And then if they do all that, then it's time to bring the team into the conversation, where it's not just you or the hiring manager making a decision in a vacuum. You need to have more perspectives. For us and our clients, we do all this work for them, and then we have two different people make sure we're scoring and grading before we even bring anyone to the table. So we're only bringing the best of the best, okay? And because my team, all they do every day is interview and vet and find and recruit people, they're exceptional at it. Step 5, retain and onboard for long-term success, okay? Too many people too many business owners especially, just hope someone's going to show up and just start running with it. The reality is the sink or swim method doesn't really work anymore because the stream is just moving too dang fast. Your job as part of recruiting, vetting, and hiring someone is to set them up for success. Give them every opportunity to just be successful. So make sure you've got someone that they're going to be learning the ropes with. Ideally, if you can put them with an experienced person in the business, whether that's you or someone else, pair them up. Make sure you've got pre-day one alignment. You've got a mentorship pairing. We like 90-day plans. They have to be clear. The more aggressive you can be in your 30, 60, 90 days, it lays the entire groundwork for what the next 6 to 9 to 12 months are going to be. You want to make sure you have constant, ongoing feedback loops. Don't make this once a week, make this once a day, and then make sure that you have some sort of plan to get this person continue to level up. This could be down the road, but as long as there's some sort of pathway of professional development, it goes a long ways. Okay. These are the 5 most common hiring mistakes. Okay, so if you started to follow this blueprint, you're likely going to start to dive into some of these because I know how overwhelming, time consuming it is to actually look for right fit people. So I'm going to review these real quick. First, rushing to fill the seat. Too many people make panic point hires and just pick whoever happens to apply because we need someone in the role, but then they end up leaving. I talked to someone the other day. They hired for a role, and this was like a key role, leadership role, operator role. And they came in and the person gave their, this is disgusting, but they gave their 90-day notice within their first 7 days. Can you believe that? That's crazy because they were just filling the seat. They told me they were just trying to fill a seat. You're ignoring red flags. You just trust your gut. You kind of justify it. You ignore them. The reality is if they're there, they're going to be there, okay? You're overvaluing technical skills. We talked about this earlier where you're not putting enough emphasis on culture and value. Depending on the role, the skills could potentially be learned or taught depending on what's really, really required, but too many people overvalue experience and technical skills. Next, you don't have a written onboarding plan. Nothing's actually in place. You just hope they show up and figure it out. And lastly, is you don't have a backup candidate. We constantly are building the bench. We're always looking, we're always recruiting, we're always looking to find the best people, and we're building the bench. We never stop until the position's filled, until the name is signed on the dotted line and they're coming in to work in the business. We don't stop because we've seen it. It happens all the time. People back out last minute, circumstances change, their true colors show, whatever it is. We always have a backup plan. So really quick case study. Love this one. This is about John Boza. He was trying to coach up an internal team member for years. Okay. He was really hoping. He had transitioned them from different positions. And I'm a big fan of promoting internally. So is he. But unfortunately, this person just wasn't good enough. And he was starting to realize that they weren't good enough because he was starting to do this person's job. He was wearing a lot of these different operators hats. So he knew something had to change. His coach introduced him to us and he deployed this system, the operator hiring system. I think this is really important. He could no longer afford to gamble with another mishire, nor did he have the time or bandwidth to recruit and vet candidates himself. He needed to hire the right leader once and for all. Okay, so that's really why he came to us. And so he partnered with us. He deployed the operator hiring system. It was awesome. He started getting overwhelmed with amazing candidates. And he says, I quote, "I found a unicorn for us." This hire was fantastic. She's an absolute home run. And the results were he ended up hiring a true integrator operator, now leading the business. So he is out of the day-to-day stuff and he's back back in that visionary role. The business is growing and he's focusing on his geniuses, like being the vision, leadership, and growth. In his own words, he said, they found a unicorn. We've been searching for the perfect office manager. It's like a director of operations role to lead our busy wine country practice around Tyler and Brighton, and Bob, expertise and resources to find the perfect best fit for your practice. They're extremely well organized, whatever. It was awesome. Dr. John is a fantastic client. So you now have a choice. You can either try to do this yourself, which I hope you learn something from this. I hope you deploy it. I hope you use it. These are real tactical stuff that we've used to hire for tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of roles. And so as long as you have anywhere from 50 to 100, 150 hours of time, if you have time capital, great. You should probably do it on your own. If not, and you'd rather focus on buying back your time and getting the best results as quickly as possible, I'd recommend you book a call with us. We'll hop on, see if we can help, and see if we can go help you find a right fit operator. But yeah, that's the operator hiring system. Hope it helps.